everybody, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is your Collider Movie Talk crew. First up, senior producer John Campia.
Well, greetings and the most heartfelt of salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. And we are taking all Twitter questions today, which we'll get to that in just a minute.
Also here is writer-director John Schnepp.
That's right. I'm so excited about this all shoes beef episode. Get those in there. You know, those questions. Get it over to shoes beef.
Shoes beef.
And also here it's Christian Harloff.
I'm very excited to see Clocky, the Twitter bird there. Hello, Clocky. How are you? Very nice. Thank you.
Clocky looks large and in charge today.
He sure does. And I don't know what else to say, so let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, listen. So we tried to do this last week. We tried because now we're live streaming. And for those of you who don't know, this show, if you're not watching this live right now, this show is now live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so last week we thought, let's do an all Twitter question day to kind of commemorate that we're live again. And that's the one day that the new internet service we have in our studios went out. So we had no show. I believe it was the day before Halloween.
Yeah, because it was supposed to happen today. That's why. Fate brought us to today.
Fate brought us together. It all came together just for this. So we decided today we're going to do it. Now, we do have one or two things that we need to talk about, though, before we get to those Twitter questions, because some things just dropped. Specifically, what just dropped is 4 brand new character posters for Star Wars The Force Awakens. We got Rey, Finn, Han, and Leia, all with the whole motif of something straight up and down going in front of their faces. If Ashley Mova was here, she would be giggling or saying something right now. So let's take a second here before we get to the Twitter questions and talk about these posters. Now, I'm going to let you know, you can start sending in Twitter questions now, by the way. How do you send in a Twitter question? Just make sure you're following us on Twitter, at Collider Video, that's us, and you can start pouring in those questions there. Be really nice to Sinead, because she's the one who's going to be deciding if your questions get on or not. So we'll get to those questions in just a minute. First, we're going to talk about these posters. Christian, let's start with you.
Yeah.
You saw these new posters come out. Your thoughts on them?
Well, my thoughts are that we have the best fans in the world, because the second, especially for Collider Jedi Council fans as well, too, I got hit up. The second these things dropped, I think Boyega and Ridley, the second they dropped them on their own Twitter feeds, fans were tweeting them out. That being said, I really like them, and I really enjoy Rey's the most, because for me,
It's best look at that staff.
Yeah, and look at the way that you see that staff there, too. Some would say, well, is that a lightsaber? Because it kind of looks like one a bit, but I think it's just a portion of the staff, honestly, but it still has that that look. And it's a
lightsaber. She's holding it from the wrong end.
I know.
She's not very good.
But the guy who actually does have a lightsaber with Boyega, they're really selling that he's got the lightsaber. I'm more and more starting to think that this is a ruse. I don't think he's anywhere near being a Jedi. I think that he is this kind of trained stormtrooper. Love the old school blaster with Han, and then just the fact that you have Leia, and you know that she's in the position. She's kind of like the new Mon Mothma in the back with the grid. I love it. I think it's Star Wars.
Yeah, the only problem I have with them, like, they're too busy. Like, weren't the faces enough? No, I'm kidding. These are awesome. I love these, and I love the whole artistic sense, like the theme that runs throughout them of the vertical line that goes one, whether it's the staff, the lightsaber, that classic Star Wars Hoth base, data screen in front of her. I really, really enjoy it. Now, once again, as a lot of people were pointing out to me on Twitter, why isn't there one for Luke? Well, I mean, JJ kind of made that apparent. Like JJ said in that interview last week, it's for a reason that you don't see him in the trailer. Yeah. They're keeping Luke under wraps as tight as possible right now, which just kind of makes me even more excited for what we're going to see. But I mean, Rey looks great. Boyega looks great. Han, this is the best shot of Han, I think, yet. I love that picture. That picture to me screams Han Solo more than almost any other still image I've seen from all the marketing materials so far. And I love the Leia one as well. And I love how they, once again, that classic Star Wars data display thing, how they kept the theme in with her as well. Although it would have been kind of badass if she had a lightsaber too. That's right. How much would we be squealing right now if that poster came up with Leia and she also had a lightsaber? But that being said, I love these things. I think they look great. What about you?
Maybe it's a lenticular and it's just like halfway on.
Yeah, right.
Weird. It reminds me of Snake Plissken for some weird reason. Oh, that's right, because they're all like, all their eyes are all, But I love all 4 of these posters. I think they're fantastic. And I was really surprised with the Princess Leia one, because it does. I hear that like Ben Burt sound design of it's like, instantly when I see that background, that's so embedded and burned into. I think anyone who's a Star Wars fan, especially like us who saw it when we were kids and really dug it, we have all of that sound design just kind of burned into our essence. So even visually, we see something and we hear something with a visual. Right. So I think it's a great job, and I especially like that they're going with these full close-ups of all the characters.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I think that is some kind of weird archaic I think that is a lightsaber. Like it's going to be some triple bladed. That's my guess.
Plagueis staff.
Yeah, like maybe it's a double bladed, some kind of freaky lightsaber, but that's just a guess.
Let me bring up this question here because we're looking at these 4 posters, and I don't know. Somebody let me know. I thought maybe somebody said there might have been one for Kylo Ren as well. If there is, I didn't see it, but maybe there is one. But the fact that there are 4 of them, let's go with these 4 for now, and they are the people that we know are the key characters in this film, Rey and Finn. But the other 2 are Han and Leia. Also, now couple this new information with the fact that on yesterday's show we talked about the new international poster for Star Wars: Force Awakens. It has about 7 less characters on, including no Poe Dameron in that poster. No R2, no 3PO, no BB. No, BB-8 was still in there. But no Phasma. But they kept Han and Leia on the. Is Leia going to be playing a bigger role in this film than we initially thought? Because I think initially we thought Leia will have a presence, but maybe about total of 15 minutes of screen time throughout. The fact that she's one of the only 4 posters here, the fact that when the international poster came out, they took off more than half of them, but they kept Leia in there with Han. Could she be playing a bigger role in this movie than we anticipated?
Yeah, I really think that they kind of let that out at Celebration as well too. When Oscar Isaac was talking about how he was sent on a mission, he said certain queen, but from everything I've heard so far, she wasn't queen yet.
Did he say queen or royalty?
I thought he said queen, but
you
might be right.
Yeah, you might be right too.
One of us is right.
We're both wrong.
Yeah. Tweet us in and let us know who is wrong.
It was one of the 2, but anyway, I think that she's kind of furthering whatever mission it is. I also think she's going to be the key element is trying to find Luke. I think she's leading it. I think she's sending people.
Interesting.
That's personally. That's nothing that I've heard. It's just a guess, but I think that she's going to be a crucial part to the story for sure.
I'm really excited to find out where Luke is. It's kind of a bummer. That
is the big question now, right?
And I'm hoping it's not just that one shot, like you'll get that pan up with him with the lightsaber and then to be continued. I think we're going to get some flavor with Luke Skywalker. That's what I'm pretty sure he'll be like a big part of the last third of the film.
Yeah.
The third act,
the third act. So I like how all the mystery is there within the way that they're rolling out the posters, the way they rolled out the trailers. We're all on the same, like, how come Luke's not in there? They're all saying, like, yeah, Han's like, where's Luke? Everyone's like, where's Luke?
Right.
So.
And the thing is, you know how hard it is to get certain Kylo Ren dolls and stuff now, too? It is going to be impossible to get the Luke Skywalker dolls.
Forget about it.
Because now we haven't seen it. The second it hits, you better be there. The line for just to get him.
You know what? Remember when Force Friday came and they put out all the toys, and then after that, the guys from Lucasfilm said, "Hey, just so you know, all the toys we put out only from the first act of the film."
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the feeling. Now, this is just speculation on my part. This isn't based on anything. I'm getting the feeling that everything we have seen from the trailers and the little teases, I'm starting to get the feeling that almost everything we've seen so far is from the first act of the film.
I say a lot of it, but not that Kylo Ren in the
Star Destroyer.
No, in the snow when he's fighting Boyega.
Oh, in the snow.
I think
right.
that's much. I think that's much later on.
Yeah,
in the
you're
film.
probably
but
right.
Most of it, I agree
it's
with
not
you.
Hopefully, that's not the last act of the film or the
Right.
last thing of the film. All right, folks. Well, we said we would be taking your Twitter questions today, and we're going to do just that. Once again, tweet us. We're going to do a special 3-hour movie talk today. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody else at the table is like, wait, what? But send in your Twitter questions to us at Collider Video. Hey, you want to talk Star Wars? Ask some Star Wars. You want to talk about DC or Marvel films? Ask about that. You want to talk about The Martian or Goosebumps, Bridge of Spies, Spectre?
Behind the scenes?
You want to talk about some behind-the-scenes stuff? Got some questions about how we do things here? Anything you want, you guys are the program directors today. Once again, only if you kiss up enough to Sinead. So, Sinead, let's get started with this thing.
Juan wants to know, would you guys rather be a Jedi or a Sith?
Well, I mean, it's in a video game, Sith. If there was a real life option and this was a career path you could take at university, Jedi. I would want to help and save people.
Right. You know what? As video games go, that's what was one of the first RPGs I played was Knights of the Old Republic, and I was like, I don't want to do all that kind of. I've got to click and talk to all these weird aliens. I got so sucked into that game because it was so much fun, and yeah, I was a Sith and I was completely evil, and then I played it totally Jedi, and I was like, when the sequel came out, did the Sith one again because I was like, It's so much fun to be evil, you know? And then you go back and you do all the good things. So, you know, in real life, I'm already a Jedi, so...
I think you also thought you took your Sith character over to, what's that driving game, San Andreas?
No, GTA. Whenever
GTA,
whenever I go to his house, I, like, murder 6,000 people. He's like, Schnepp, you have too much of a bloodlust. I'm, like, running over people.
Schnepp, that's a pregnant woman!
It's incredibly fun. I just can't help it. And then I always, like, try to get on the bus and drive it off the cliff, you know?
In video game, it would be Sith. In real life... Sith wouldn't tell you he was going to be a Sith, so Jedi. That's right.
All right.
You have the right to answer, Harloff.
What's next?
Vajda tweets, which movie is the biggest surprise for you this year? For me, it's Spy.
Spy was a nice one. Another one that I had some hopes for, but really deep down I thought was going to be bad. I really enjoyed, more than most people, I really enjoyed Man from U.N.C.L.E. That Man from U.N.C.L.E. for me was a really nice surprise. That was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I'd have to think, man, whenever you talk about what movies this year, it's tough because they all blur together over the last 3 years.
I still say Kingsman, though, because Kingsman to me
it was so much better than we expected.
I thought I was looking forward to it. I'm a Matthew Vaughn fan, but I didn't know it would be that good. I really enjoyed that one. And the same thing with Ex Machina, which I thought would be good. I heard great word, but just seeing it and realizing how great that film was, those are the two that stood out to me.
For me, like, definitely, I mean, I was looking forward to it, but Mad Max Fury Road just knocked it out of the park for me. Like, just, I didn't think that it would be that great. As far as for me being a Road Warrior fan and loving the trilogy, especially the second one, Road Warrior, I had high hopes for it, but it just went so over the top for me.
Well, I think MI5 also, because like
totally.
For Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, none of us were expecting that. Good.
We were just hoping it was going to be as good or maybe a little less than
close
the
to
last
as good
one.
as MI4.
Right, and I liked it better.
It actually was more fun. I guess I don't know if it was better. It was just like, since it was so much better than your hopes were, like, as long as it has one of those Dubai scenes, and it was like actually a bunch of those kind of like big action scenes.
Let me take us off topic for a second. So last night, we're sitting around, before we get to the next question, we're sitting around here in the studio. There's a whole bunch of us here doing the Flash After Show, which, by the way, we've got the Flash After Show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show, both went up last night. You can check them out on our YouTube channel right now if you want to check those out. But then afterwards, a couple of us, me, Kaori, Wendy, Dennis was still around. Kaori and Wendy had never seen Step Brothers. And so we stayed behind last night to watch Step Brothers. Now, Wendy always gets dinner and brings them in whenever we have after shows at night. So she goes out and gets dinner. Last night, we had the brilliant idea to go to Costco and get Costco Polish sausages and hot dogs. And I had one, and I still taste it in my breath. I assure you, I've brushed my teeth, taken some Tums. It was so delicious going down, but then so much regret afterwards. It's like taking home an ugly girl from the bar, and at the moment it seems like a good idea, and then afterwards there's so much shame and regret. I'm kind of suffering.
It's like bacon. Bacon lasts like hours and hours and hours and hours.
But it's so good when it's going down. All right. Okay, what's next?
That's what she said.
Nice. Look at that.
Bing bong.
Sorry, I had to, you guys. I had to.
It's one of those shows.
All right, Shepard tweets: since Peanuts is releasing this weekend, what classic cartoons would you like to see get similar treatment?
It's hard, that one, because for a long time when the discussion would come up about classic cartoons, what we'd love to see, my answer has often been Peanuts. I mean that's the one. I honestly can't think of another. If we're talking classic, we're not talking 80s G.I. Joe or Transformers. Talking classic, I don't know that I can think of another one other than Peanuts.
I got Felix the cat.
That would be an interesting one.
That cat has been around forever. Yeah. And then it kind of like they tried rebooting. I remember seeing some kind of cartoon for it in the 90s, and it just sucked. So I think there's something there.
I think that this is not cartoon, but it's comic strip. It's Calvin and Hobbes. I'd like to see.
I would love to see anything. Even just if Watterson would come back and put out one more book.
Yeah.
My God! To me, favorite comic strip of all time.
I think a better version of Garfield could be interesting. And then if Betty Boop has been gone for a long time,
they're actually working on Betty Boop.
There's some stuff on Betty Boop going on.
That's
in progress. All right, what's next?
Michael tweets: where's the trailer for Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sequel?
When does the movie come out?
Not for a while.
Yeah, not for that. They're still shooting it.
I mean, hold on a second. Let me pull up. You guys talk about that for a second. I'll pull it up.
I mean, I would assume.
I didn't hate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot. I thought it was actually a lot of fun. But once again, I always reiterate that I'm not a fan of the cartoon series. When I say I'm not a fan, I just never saw it.
The movie's still 7 months away. It comes out in June. June 3rd. It's 7 months away.
There might be a teaser then in the next couple of months.
In the next couple of months,
Yeah,
but we're way too far out to be wondering, hey, where's the trailer for this? It's too early.
So you do get teasers sometimes a year out, but now
sometimes we shouldn't expect them.
No, you're right.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
At Flirt tweets, what are your thoughts on going to the movies alone? I can never do it. If nobody wants to see the movie with me, I'll just wait for the Blu-ray.
It's funny. This just came up the other day. I was supposed to go see Spectre on Monday night, but I couldn't find anybody to go with me. Anne's out of town. She's on the East Coast right now. Then I couldn't get a hold of you. Dennis, I couldn't get a hold of Dennis. I couldn't get a hold of Soul. And then a couple other people that I would have gone with were actually in studio that night doing things. And so I just didn't go. Now, normally, I don't mind going to movies.
We were there, John.
I know
Mark and I were there.
But I mean, normally I don't mind going to movies alone if it's a movie theater right by me. But if I got to drive anywhere, and this one was about 15 miles away, 20 miles away, if I have to drive somewhere, then I just don't like going. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is, because when you're in the theater, that's all that matters. But for me, love going to the movies alone when it's close. If I got to drive somewhere, I don't like going by myself.
I love going to the movies alone. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
It's crazy how many guys with kids I hear say that.
I did it even before I had kids. Even before I was married. I really like the morning shows too. Like the morning, first show.
Oh, because you got the theater yourself.
It's like church. Yeah, I love it. I mean, a bad movie, a good movie, it doesn't matter. I love to go, and it doesn't. If it's preferable in the morning, but if it's at night as well too, I don't care. I like to be. I don't need to talk to people to watch the movie.
Right.
So for me, I love it.
Yeah, I'm with Christian and I'm with John. I like seeing movies with friends. I always go to see a lot of movies with Holly, but I also love seeing movies by myself, and I've never had that stigma. What I don't like is when I'm by myself and I go into the theater and somebody I don't know comes in this empty seat theater and they sit right next to you.
Yeah.
I've had to eyeball a couple people like, "I'm sorry, what's up, dude?" And then they're, "Oh, yeah, I was
right,
like,
yeah,
what's up?"
I had
to be like, "You've got to step away." "Oh, I'm sorry." It's like, that's weird. Don't do that. If you're in a theater, don't ever sit next to someone that you don't know. That's all. Just etiquette.
If there's room, if you got plenty of room, go sit somewhere else. All right, what's next?
Jean-Paul tweets, Candy Crush Maker sold for $5.9 billion yesterday. If Star Wars were to sell today, how much would you say its value could be?
Well, after all the marketing came out and after it set all the records for all the advanced ticket sales, may be different, but there is something to keep in mind here. Because I saw some people tweeting me that's like, how does Candy Crush sell for 5 point whatever and Star Wars only sold? Remember, and now while I do not have this on paper anywhere, take this to the bank, though. George Lucas is a part of that deal. I guarantee you, for the rest of his life and probably the lives of his children, he is getting a percentage. And it's that percentage that while he may have sold it for $4.04 billion, when it's all said and done, that deal is actually probably going to be worth a lot more.
And stock in Disney
and stock and all that kind of stuff. So believe you me, yeah, he got the 4 point whatever billion in cash and stock and whatever, but it's what he's also going to get continuously going forward that is going to make that deal really make sense for him.
Well, it's also who is involved with Candy Crush as well too. It might just be one person. I doubt it though. And George Lucas, for the most part, is seeing that 4.4 because his company was built by himself. It wasn't a studio company. It was him. So it's one dude that's getting $4.4 billion.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
And you've got to remember, George Lucas has always been way ahead of everyone with technology. He's the guy who introduced Avid. He's the guy who, all the stuff that we use now, nonlinear digital editing, is all because of George Lucas. So even though he's out of the game as far as Star Wars, he's always been in the game as far as technology and advances.
Yeah, and as far as how much it would sell like today, I mean, the thing is, it's still, that being said with George Lucas too, Star Wars is worth a lot more than $4.4 billion. It's already, the movie hasn't even come out yet, and I'd love to see how much it's already made.
Oh, it'd be crazy. Like if George Lucas only made that deal now and he had done all the marketing,
you could probably sell it for like close to 8 to 10. I think.
Where's my Knights of Ren cereal?
But it is scary to think when it's all said and done, and after the next 5 Star Wars movies come out, how much money will have gone into George Lucas's bank account? It's crazy to think about. All right, what's next?
Gabriel tweets, how does a studio decide on not giving a large release to a film after a major festival success?
It really doesn't matter about the success. If they put it out at a festival, and it depends on how you term success. Is success that the critics loved it? Okay, that's great. But it doesn't answer the question, though, will people go out and see it? And those are often two separate questions. Now, sometimes they'll play at a festival, and like the response is, yes, audiences will love this. Audiences will go out to see this. So if you're talking about success at a festival like that, That's one thing. But at the end of the day, it's a business for these studios, and they have to do what they think is going to make them money and avoid the things that they think is going to lose the money. And a movie can be great, win all the palm leaves or whatever it is, the palme d'or and whatever they want. But if a studio doesn't think the average moviegoer is going to go out, plop down enough money to go and see the film to make it worth their while, then they're going to keep it in limited release and try to make their money that way. How do you see it, Christian?
I know, I agree with you. I think that's honestly, just listen to everything you said. I think you nailed it, because when they put these movies out,
you doing all right?
Yeah, sorry. I just went through a total. My head just like froze.
Wait, here's some caffeine.
Thank you. No. Sorry, go to Shep because I lost my thought. I didn't know that.
Here I'll use a good example. Bone Tomahawk. I just rented that on like my Xbox, and because it was playing in like 2 theaters, and I missed it, and I really wanted to see it. But that's a really small film.
See,
it's got Kurt Russell, who's fantastic in the film, and it's a really fun film. It's like Ravenous without all the humor. That's what my gal Holly surmised after we saw it. But it's so much fun. But it's like, when the people put it out and it got bought by whoever's distributing it, it's not a wide release film. Right. It's not a film that you spend $10 or $15 million in marketing. You're not going to see billboards for this film. So that's what happens with a lot of the smaller films, that even though you'll hear about raving, people like, oh, it was fantastic, I saw it at Fantastic Fest, or I saw it at Sundance, the likelihood of it getting a wide release, even like 300 theaters, is very small.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of like when the movie, whenever the festival happens to be, and then when release dates come for Oscar possibility as well too, because it could be like, so if you want to,
because the buzz can make the money.
The buzz can make the money. Oh, that movie everyone was talking about, like Whiplash, I think is an example of that too. Like,
excellent example.
Totally. And that was one that it was months and months, but they're like, well, wait a minute, everybody loves this movie. Let's wait, get it a push in October. And that worked out well. Now it didn't get a wide release. It got a release enough to qualify it. But I think that they use that as kind of litmus test as far as like what people are saying. Okay, good, we're going to have a good run, and it probably helps them to say, let's definitely go for that October-November slot. As where if it doesn't do well in the festival and people aren't talking about it, okay, either we're going to put it out in a small amount of theaters in February or March, and hopefully it does well. I mean, because something like Ex Machina, by the way, too, which is because it's a genre film, great film, had a great response, but they still put it out in March because of what the movie, there's really nowhere else to put that movie unless you really want it to have a shot to win Oscars. I think it should be nominated for stuff, but it's going to be tough to get the Academy voters to do it.
Right.
All right, folks, now we're going to take just a moment break here from the Twitter questions, because it is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays here, we like to talk a little bit of Rewind, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. And Rewind, we celebrate and talk about, I also call it the Feeling Old segment. We talk about the movies that are turning 10 years old this week and the movies that are turning 20 years old this week. Let's start off with the ones that are turning 10. The films turning 10 years old this week are Chicken Little is turning 10. I cannot believe that was 10 years ago that came out. And Jarhead, also I cannot believe that was 10 years ago. Oh my goodness. Okay, turning 20 years old this week, we have the classic Baldwin and what's the model's
Cindy
name?
Crawford.
Crawford.
Dare you,
Cindy
sir.
Crawford. Classic
Dare you.
Fair Game. We have Gold Diggers, The Secret of Bear Mountain, and a movie that I actually quite like very much, Home for the Holidays. So, Christian, let's start with you.
Yeah.
Which of these films stand out to you?
Fair Game, baby. I was a huge Cindy Crawford fan. I still think she's one of the most gorgeous women to ever step foot on the earth, and I still think she is. And so I was very excited when I was a young one to see her in the theater. And boy, was it terrible. It's so bad.
So bad.
It's such a bad movie. But, it was Cindy Crawford. It was the first and last time she's ever acted. And the Home for Holidays, I agree with you. I really enjoy that movie. It's one of those movies that whenever we have like a holiday movie special or we talk about holiday movies, that one's always brought up. And I think it's kind of an underrated holiday movie as well, too.
Yeah.
Not enough people talk about it. If you haven't
One of
checked it out,
Holly Hunter's best performances.
I agree with you for sure. And then Chicken Little, it's Mel Gibson, right? Isn't Mel Gibson Chicken?
No. That's Chicken Run.
Chicken Run. Who's in Chicken Little?
This is Scrubs boy.
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff.
Oh, you know what? I've never seen that. I was thinking of the other one.
So you're thinking Chicken
Yeah,
Run,
but
which is more than 10 years old
And
now.
Jarhead, I remember thinking, being very excited for it when it came out, and I still think the performances are great in that film.
Gyllenhaal in that, right?
Gyllenhaal, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
I was just a little let down by the film in general. I mean, when I saw it, I haven't seen it in a very long time. I think it's one of those movies I'd like to go back and revisit.
I thought Chicken Little was a fun little movie. It certainly wasn't great. I mean, I thought it was okay. Jarhead, I'm exactly with you. I thought the potential exceeded what it actually was. It could have been like really exceptional, especially with the performers in it and stuff like that. Fair Game, though. That was the movie that was strictly made on the idea that we can trick enough people in the public to buy tickets to it in the hopes of seeing Cindy Crawford, A, naked, and B, having sex.
Got me.
And make a poster. Yeah, and it got a lot of people. Make the poster look like it's all sexy and something. That whole movie got greenlit based on that principle alone. And Home for the Holidays was actually, you're right, it is. Somebody asked us the other day, actually, maybe it was yesterday, on the show, somebody asked like what are some of our favorite Christmas movies is, and that should have probably been on our list up there around there somewhere. What stands out to you, Schnapp?
Absolutely nothing. Because this is one of the first times we've done a rewind where all 5 of those films I have not seen.
Wow.
Really?
Have you ever seen Gold Diggers?
Nope.
Secret of Bear Mountain?
Yeah, it was on my list for a long time. Secret of Bear Mountain, but yeah, surprisingly no. And of course, obviously, I've seen the trailers for Jarhead, Chicken Little, Fair Game. Absolutely zero interest in seeing any of those films. So it's like I just never saw any of them. But of all 5, if you ask me if I had to see any of them, I would definitely see the Holly Hunter one because I think she's a great actress.
I got people on the chat board saying send Chicken Little back to Marvel. Anyway, what's that?
No, I said he should check that out.
Yeah. All right, folks, now let's get back. The remainder of the show now is all just your Twitter questions. Again, if you're just joining us now and you're watching us live, and there are thousands of you watching us live, you can just tweet us a question. Make sure you're following us at Collider Video and tweet a question to us there. Sinead's taking them. That's all we're going to do for the rest of the show now. So, Sinead, what's next?
Ezra tweets, why do you guys think that Steve Jobs bombed so hard, especially after all the great buzz and it doing amazing business in limited release?
I wouldn't say it bombed hard. I mean, it came in under expectations, but their expectations were not $100 million. I mean, so it came in a little low. I think there are a couple of factors. One, I don't think the trailers were necessarily very good. I mean, they're all right, but they didn't motivate me any. They did nothing to increase my excitement to see the movie. I think the second thing was it is a factor that there was another Steve Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher out just a little while ago, and I think people didn't care about that. They weren't, or they heard how bad it was and they didn't want to go to see another one. I thought the timing of it was a little bit interesting too. I think to a small degree, because not everybody's us who are plugged into the online film news world, but I think to a small degree, all the drama and hoopla with the Sony leaks and everything, and with Scott Rudin and all that kind of stuff that went into the drama of it moving from Sony over, that might have turned some people off. But I think the biggest one is just that the trailers weren't compelling. They just weren't compelling to me. So I think that has a lot. But let's face it was never going to be a $100 million movie. They were hoping for like a $28 million opening weekend, and they weren't able to hit that. Anyway, Christian, why did the movie not do as well as they were kind of hoping?
I mean, we talked about it yesterday a little bit on Movie Talk as well. And you and Mark were both on because of Jobs last time, the one with Ashton Kutcher. I don't know how much that had to do with it because no one saw that movie as well. But you could be right that people are saying, well, wait a minute, didn't they do that already? I'm not saying that, but I do think it was because I think it had a lot to do. That story did get out there with Sony, and Leo was on it. Christian Bale was on it. Everybody's leaving. Everyone's jumping, and eventually you hear it.
Fincher's going to direct it.
Yeah, next you hear it. Oh, that thing sounded like a lot of problems. Plus, to a lot of maybe casual movie fans, it doesn't sound like the most compelling movie to see.
Right.
It just, I mean, for me, I loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of the year, and I think that Fassbender should be nominated. I think Jeff Daniels should be nominated.
Kate Winslet should be nominated.
I think there should be nominations in the writing. It was some of Sorkin's best writing. But you know, you see it if you're in you get to choose what you want to spend your money on. And when you're a fan that maybe with all these movies that are coming out, Steve Jobs might not be the one that you want to plunk down the money you worked for this week. It's just, I'm not going to throw my money down. I'll wait for it to hit Netflix or something too.
Well, I think you nailed it when you said it's like it was released actually strategically for nominations. That's my feeling about it because it's not a big budget. Like it's not going to be like, oh man, it's made $100 million. Right. Steve Jobs, the third Steve Jobs biography. If you're counting the Geeks of Silicon Valley made for TV show, all of them, which also always showcase
Pirates of Silicon Valley.
Pirates. Which I love that movie.
I love that.
Geeks would have been good too.
But they always show like that basement, the garage.
Didn't Noah Wiley play Steve Jobs?
Yes, he did.
That's right.
And he was fantastic. And I love that you always see that garage, and it's exactly the same in all 3 of these movies because it's fun. That's where all those nerds were like, soldering together our desktops of the future. But the performances, fantastic. I saw the movie like 2 weeks ago, and actually Dennis was in the audience with us when we went. We didn't know we were both seeing it at the same time. So that movie is an incredible film. It's a great bio. It's a Fassbender Oscar nomination. It's a Kate Winslet Oscar nomination. I thought Seth Rogen was fantastic as Wozniak, but was it a full, complete film? I felt even like I liked the movie a lot.
You wanted more.
I wanted more. Yeah. I felt it was like too segmented. It's one of these biopics where you're like, wow, this guy's a really fascinating character and all these weird decisions that he made, and you're just seeing little snippets. I mean, it was just everyone who was in it was fantastic. It just didn't have that draw. The trailer, the very first trailer where he was like standing in front of the audience and stuff, I thought that was cool. But then the next trailer was just like, it seems kind of disjointed a little bit. And that's kind of how the movie played out too.
You know what the big mistake they made was?
Well, let me just finish. I just think the biggest thing is that it's going to have a gigantic impact on Netflix. I think it's one of those movies.
It's a Netflix movie.
It's made to see, either rent it or it's not a giant theater film. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think a big mistake they made, and this is right from the conception of the film, because where does the film end time-wise? With the introduction of the Blueberry iMac, right?
Yep.
And that is a pivotal moment in the history, and that's what saved Apple. But where I think they missed an opportunity here is when the appeal of social network was that everybody's on Facebook and everybody can relate and identify with it. They've got a little bit of skin in that game, right? What do half the people walk around with in their pockets?
iPhone, son.
iPhones. Yeah. Now, I am a more sophisticated person. I carry an Android, even though I use all my computers are Mac, but I walk around with Android. But half the people in this world walk around with iPhones in their pocket. I think it was a total mistake right from the moment of conception not to take it up to that thing. And then you put in the trailers iPhone because everybody can then pull it out of their own pocket. Every time they pull their damn phones out of their pocket, they would think about, oh yeah, there's that movie coming out.
Yep.
I thought it was a really missed opportunity.
The other thing too, this Universal put this movie out, and they can go after this movie. It's like we said, it didn't bomb, but it didn't do great. That movie and Gem and the Holograms also did bomb.
How dare you say them together in the same sentence?
Gem and the Holograms.
There's a reason
Jobs
why.
and the Holograms.
Because Universal put that out as well. But Universal, because of the year they had, because of those two bombs, could go like this.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like they're able to do that this year. So I mean that sometimes when you have that kind of year, when you're Universal with Jurassic World and Fast and the Furious, you go, okay, we tried everything this year and those two didn't work. That one will probably get nominated Oscars. That one we can flush right down the toilet bowl.
And
actually,
forget it ever happened.
You nailed it on the head. Really, when when the movie ended, I was like, where's the fourth act? I know they were doing it like a 3-act movie, but it needed that last act of him introducing the presentation of the introduction of the iPhone is what really changed the game for Apple and for him. So that is weird. It's like go back and shoot it and put it out on the extended edition.
See, the introduction of the iMac, because I'm also a big tech junkie, but the introduction of the iMac is what saved Apple.
Right.
The introduction of the iPhone is what made them the most dominant company in the world. Yep. And I just think there was a big missed opportunity there. All right, what's next?
Loverboy tweets, who on the Collider crew has the best taste in movies?
There's no such thing. Like, seriously, whoever you are would say which person has the best taste in movies, I guarantee you that if I look at that person's taste in movies and your taste in movies, they'll be similar. We will all say the person whose tastes are most similar to mine.
Yeah.
Film is subjective. So whenever you hear somebody say that person has good taste in movies, what you're really saying is that person has taste in movies that are similar to mine. So it's I mean, look, the answer is me, obviously.
It's obviously me.
But that is the answer for all of us at the table, literally, because that's the way we think. I don't know, Christian, but if let's play with it anyway.
Yeah.
If I had to say who I thought had the best taste in movies, trying to separate, and this is hard for a person to separate from my own personal taste, I'd say I'll go with the one who has the one that maybe would stretch me a little bit more. I'll go with Schnepp. Schnepp will introduce and talk about movies sometimes that would go outside of my particular zone and that would stretch me out and expand my horizons a bit more. Dennis also has incredible depth of knowledge and a repertoire in his head of movies and things like that. So I'll go with those two guys.
For me, I'm going more on your point as like when I hear someone talking about a movie who I'm like, well, normally we're on the same page. And to be honest, with the crew here, it's usually a lot. It's similar for the most part for my own taste. But I would say the person minus comedies, because sometimes comedies were on a different page. I would say Dennis for me. Like Dennis usually for when we're on with dramas and action movies, we usually kind of critique the movies the same way.
Just don't bring up Vacation when two of you are
don't
in the
bring
same
up
room.
Vacation. Then I'd probably say John, because like there's a lot of times that you and I are on the same page with stuff.
You know, I'm of the mindset that I don't have a best. Like we'll argue about Blade Runner. I think it's one of the greatest science fiction films
I'll
of
never
all time.
argue Blade Runner.
No,
I'll never argue because I'm probably wrong.
No. But I'm saying that, but that you didn't like it. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying is like,
yeah.
but that doesn't mean like I'm like John's opinions are horrible. It's just like we have a different mindset and how we like and dislike certain films, and then certain films we love. So, but that's actually fun for me. Like I don't want to like have to like yes and someone who's exactly the same as me. It's more fun sometimes to talk like you loved Ex Machina. I didn't love it as much as you. Right. I had some issues with it, but like we could talk about it, and I might like, oh, that's why you liked it more, and you might find out why I liked it less. Henceforth, even though it doesn't affect why you liked it more, you'll understand the next time someone that says I didn't like it. Well, why didn't you like it? You always learn more, not just about what someone else's opinion is, but what informs your opinion about the film itself and what you might have missed or what you didn't get or what they didn't get. So I think when you talk with people who don't have the same opinions as you actually learn more and become a better person, like film critic, and also just like you understand film better when you talk to other people who either liked it or disliked it.
What about Sinead?
Who has the best movie taste, Sinead?
Oh my God, that's really hard.
Well, let me add to that question, in kind of in the same question. This might help you a little bit. Who on the crew do you think has the best taste in movies, and who on the crew signs your invoices every week?
John Campia has the greatest taste in movies. No, I was saying before the show, I think Christian is really picky, like compared
can be a
to
good
you
thing.
guys. It is a good thing. I think that you're very picky when it comes to movies. So when you love a movie, I get really excited about it.
Nice. Okay.
But in terms of, I mean, like you said, everyone has really good insight into movies, and I've learned like new movies from every single person on the crew. But definitely when you love a movie, then I'm like, damn, I gotta go see this movie.
Right on.
All right, what's next?
Jalen wants to know if fans can ever visit the studio for live shows.
We've talked about that. We certainly now, I mean, one of the great things about ever since in February when we moved into our own production facility here in offices and creative space is that we definitely could do it. Now, we have some different thoughts, Dennis doesn't really know if he wants people knowing where our studio is because we don't want to have people knocking on our
As
door.
he shakes his head like,
Yeah, Dennis is back at the sound or anything like that.
He's got a lot of paparazzi following him around.
Dennis,
so.
where are you going for lunch?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And this meant there's no offense because the people were actually very, very lovely people. But like Dennis was in downtown Burbank, and then like some people recognized him and literally followed him home. I mean, so
Dennis is the best person on the whole crew for that to happen to.
So I mean, and they were lovely people. So
Well,
if
for
you
our
were
amusement.
watching, you were lovely people. But we have thought about having, when we hit 200 million views, maybe we'll have a party. Maybe we'll have a big Oscar party, have a contest where maybe 50 people can win tickets to come to our studio and watch the Oscars with us that night. We've talked about that.
We've talked about doing a little mini tour of like movie talk and like going around the States. We talked about that a while back and just doing like like we did it in Atlanta last year.
Yeah, well, I think they were specifically asking about coming into our studio.
Yeah, forget that. That's
So I don't know, like maybe you'll see something but we'll never have like an open door policy. Like I'm a big tech head, so I follow Leo Laporte and Twit, and so does Dennis as well. And I know that at the Brick House where they do This Week in Tech, they have an open door policy where anybody can come in anytime, sit down and watch. I don't think we'll ever be that, but you might see us have some events where we're going to invite people down. All right, what's next?
I don't know how to say this. Zanoozle pod.
bless you.
Sounds like a name you would make up.
a Zanoozle pod. Perfect.
Zanoozle pod.
I think their first name is Scrimbix Zanoozle pod.
Zanoozle pod. I like that. Tweets. Is it getting harder and harder to amaze moviegoers with visuals they haven't seen before? Have we seen it all?
It is getting more difficult to give us that wow factor because it's the law of diminishing returns, right? I mean, you got to constantly push the boundaries. Where I now get wowed with movies is not the biggest visual effect. It's the effects that blend so naturally into their natural environments. Those are the ones that really, like the reason District 9 wowed me, there aren't spectacular visual effects in that as far as the traditional spectacular,
Right.
but the way it blended in with the live action footage blew my mind. And I think that's the new new frontier for me personally is now the next thing they need to do once they do this, there's nothing left to do, is actually make people look real. Once they are able to do people and make people blend in, not people like creatures, people, and make them blend into a live action environment, then there's nowhere else to go. But that's the next big final frontier. What do you think?
Yeah, you're talking about the uncanny valley that we're so close to getting to. We're really on the edge. But I actually like smaller films now. Like the bigger films sort of get just too bombastic where everyone's like, look at my legion of these 5,000 people running against these 5,000 people. And I know we're almost over that happening again. Like, in fact, I hope that shot is not in Warcraft. I trust Duncan Jones so much as a director. I'm looking to see how he actually films these sequences of adventure and action and violence. So Warcraft is on my mind as far as a big blockbuster film, but the special effects for me, I think, are going to be more internalized for the wow factor. I think the more they bring them in for your suspension of disbelief, the better, I think. So that's what we're going to see, is less like 1,000 robots fighting superheroes. It might be, just more just mind trippy kind of stuff.
And by the way, speaking of Warcraft, don't forget, guys, the new Warcraft trailer does drop on Friday.
That's right.
So now, I'm not going to be here on Movie Talk. I'm flying out to New York tonight, actually. I'll be in New York for a few days for business meetings, but I will definitely record and put up my my personal reaction to the Warcraft. I'm looking forward to that one. Anyway, Christian, what about you?
The other thing I think you guys are forgetting about is virtual reality. Virtual reality is going to be a big way. Like the next like 5 to 10 years, there's going to be. I mean, don't be surprised if you're watching theaters, you just have this goggles on your head, and like inside that, all these things with the surround sound and everything that they could.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I just got some insider tip about a couple of people. I'll say Weta particularly are developing some amazing virtual reality movies that will be all encompassing.
That's what I mean. In the next 10, 20 years, that might be the way that we're walking. You're going to be in the movies.
Yes.
Like you're going to be walking around, watching things happen around.
And interacting with them to as much of a degree as you can with the first few waves of do you want to walk through? It's not going to be push a button. It's more going to be if you look this way, you're going through that door.
So I absolutely think that
sounds more like an amusement ride to me than
you
a
say
movie.
that now, but because we're not familiar with it too.
Yeah. But on the surface, that's what it feels like.
But you know what? It's that new frontier of some of the movies, some of the VR movies will just be a 2-hour thing, but it'll be a continuous thing.
Right.
You'll be pushing the 2-hour adventure as opposed to you could see the same movie again, but instead of going to that house, you went to this house. It'll still blend together, but that's where we're at now. We're going beyond just a screen, but an all-encompassing screen. You have to have that the options that if you're looking around.
Well, it's a way that inside of that also it's the technology will further in how you start to see things, because right now when you go to the movies and the way that they expand with the effects, they're going to do that. They're going to be doing the effects inside of the virtual reality and what they're going to be able to do more and further that technology. But I also want to go off the point that you guys were talking about with being able to motion capture actual humans, like that thing. I'm still waiting for that time when we can actually see a continuation of Die Hard, but with a young Bruce Willis. And then it's just you have an actor could play him and put his voice in there because he probably would not phone it in the way Bruce Willis is phoning it in. But when I was able to speak to Andy Serkis last year for Donald Planet of the Apes, and I asked him if that technology eventually would be, and they've been working on it. They're trying on it. It's they haven't perfected it yet.
That's the holy grail right now.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. What's next?
Jack wants to know if we have any plans to go to England.
Okay. No promises yet, but a bunch of us are talking about maybe flying out to London in July for the next Star Wars celebration. So you may see the Collider crew out in London in a few months.
London is so awesome. All you UK sweaties, I love all of you. We're going. Let's just say we're going.
Apparently we're going.
It's going to happen. So just get ready. We're going to attack London with a fury.
Yay. All right, what's next?
S tweets, if the Collider crew in a horror movie, who would die first and who would survive?
Sinead would die first.
Sinead would die first.
Come on
now. No, she is.
You think? It depends on which kind of movie. If it's
so
Friday the 13th,
monster would start chasing us. Sinead would be the one to stop to pull out her phone to call Daddy.
Or she'd trip like they always do.
I think Dennis would survive.
Yeah, Dennis would, because he's wily. He would he might push me in front of the monster. He'd be
he'd figure it out. Wait for everybody.
Well, no. Okay, look, it's movie mathematics. David's the black guy. He's the first guy to go.
Yeah.
I mean, by Hollywood rules.
Yeah, it depends on who's writing it.
It depends
if it's Walking Dead, yeah. Boy, I don't know if I'd probably die because I can't run that fast. But when I'm scared, watch me run. I'm telling you, I got long legs, yo.
It's the greatest thing. It's like I don't have to outrun the monsters. I just have to outrun you.
That's right.
Then we'll be fine. All right, what's next?
Adam tweets, "Hey, happy Wednesday. I'm wondering how long you think it will take for superhero films to go out of fashion."
Look, this question, people have been asking this question for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, for
So
10
never.
years. Yeah, for 10 years I keep hearing people saying, we're almost oversaturated. People are going to get tired of these comic book movies. They keep saying it every single year, and every single year they get better. I've said it before, I will say it again. This is what will end the comic book movie craze. When we have about 3 of them in a row that suck. Once you get about 3 of them in a row, because the problem right now is that when people go to see these comic book movies right now, they're generally good, fun films that people are enjoying. So they want to go to the next one. And until that stops, not just for 1 film and not just for 2, but once you get like 2, 3 in the stretched in a row, that's when you're going to start to get movie-going audience fatigue. As long as they still go to the movies and they're having a fun time and they're being entertained, this is a train that is not going to stop.
Yeah, the doom saying is really fun to be around for a long time because, in 2001, I remember a lot of people were like, yeah, it's all going to cap off right around 2005. Then 2005 rolled around and like more films kept getting bigger. Superhero films just kept more were announced. It's definitely over, man. Totally 2012. The writing's on the wall. Here we're on 2015, and next year there's 7 giant over $100 million films coming out that are all superhero based. I don't see that it's fatigue or burnout happening. I agree with you 100%. It's like if these films, out of those 7, if 4 of them suck, you're going to see like a ripple effect because then the next year, then there's like 6 more coming out the next year. Some of them probably will have to we don't want to be like that. They're going to have to take a adjustment time to maybe do more reshoots or whatnot. But I don't see any kind of fatigue really happening. I think it's just enough films that are fun to go see, and as long as they're good, you're going to keep seeing them.
Well, and it's also because Marvel was able to catch that wave. By doing the shared universe, what they've done is that, and I've been saying this for a while, it's like they have a television series. And it's like as long as you're invested in the story that they're telling, the through line that they're telling from when they started with Iron Man and then all the way through now to the next Avengers that's coming out in 3-4 years, whatever it is, you're invested. You care about the characters. And until you don't care about the characters and that through line of what they're doing, now I can't speak for DC yet because we don't know yet.
Right.
But once DC starts to put together that storyline, that through line, and those characters that we're introduced to, if we care about them, then we'll follow them until we don't.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Batman versus Superman, DC's really just going. But look, if you took Star Wars out of the equation, Batman versus Superman is by far my most anticipated movie next year. By far. Miles ahead of everything else. And then there's Star Wars, which is, of course, ahead of that. But, I mean, it's just...
Although we did a question of this is, I guess, a question that you wanted me to pose, and I forgot to do it. If you had a choice between you could only see Rogue One or Batman v Superman, what would you do?
Oh, right. This is very important.
Not Force Awakens. You're talking
Not
about
Force
Rogue
Awakens,
One or Batman. You can
not
only do
Episode
one.
8, the Star Wars anthology film Rogue Awakens, and I surprised you, Rogue One versus Batman, and I surprised you by saying if I had to choose just between Rogue One and Batman versus Superman, I'm going to see Batman versus Superman. Now, if you ask me Star Wars Episode 7 or even Star Wars Episode 8 versus Batman versus Superman, then I'm choosing Star Wars. But if I miss out on Rogue One, I'm still getting my Star Wars episode movies. This is Batman versus Superman. I have not been waiting for Rogue One for 20 years. I have been waiting for Batman versus Superman for 20 years. So if it's between Rogue One and Batman v Superman, I'm going Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I think I've been waiting my entire life for Batman versus Superman. Those characters have never met each other in any kind of movie version. So,
yeah.
I mean, as long as I just saw Force Awakens, then I could be like, Rogue One. I guess if it was like, there's only those 2 movies and you can't watch Rogue One.
I can
later.
wait till Episode 8 for the sequel.
Yeah,
I know I'm in the 2%.
Batman v Superman.
I know I'm in the 2%, but I'm going Rogue One just because to me that is a movie I've been waiting for a long time. It's the prequel that I always wanted.
It is the true prequel. It's the true prequel.
And it's for what they said about it was that it's called Star Wars for a reason, and that's what Rogue One is going to be. So.
All right, let's go through a whole bunch more. I'm having fun.
Cool. Adam says, do you guys think that Eddie Murphy will ever be mainstream again? I still think he's one of the funniest guys on earth.
Yes, I can answer that because a friend of mine is working with him right now, writing a script with him right now that I think is going to be incredible. So wait till that drops and you'll see him in like a year and a half take over the Hollywood box office.
when he was making that stupid one about the tree and any of the 45 other stupid ones. I'm sure people who were writing those scripts with him said, I'm working on the script now with Eddie Murphy, and it's awesome. I've given up on Eddie Murphy as far as comedically. Have him his voice as Donkey. Man, he nailed that voice.
Yeah.
As much as Mike Myers did with Shrek itself, he killed it as Donkey. He also did a really good job in Mulan as the voice of the dragon.
I didn't hate Tower Heist. I didn't hate it.
And I also did not hate Tower Heist,
guys,
as a matter of fact.
Bowfinger was not that long ago.
It was that long ago.
But
and
not
it's
in my
brilliant.
mind. In my mind, it's still there, and that's the Eddie Murphy that I love,
Right,
and I think that he can be that Eddie Murphy.
You know what the
again.
problem is, though, Schnipp? The thing is that
1999.
See, it wasn't that long ago.
17
Damn
years
it.
ago.
It was long.
That was the year I moved to America.
All right, it was a long time ago. God damn
The
it.
problem is he had an opportunity to show, like, hey, guys, I'm back
Right.
at that Saturday Night Live anniversary. And they gave him the stage, and he came out and because it was like they wanted to make amends for like the bad blood that they had. And he came out, and everyone was expecting him to do a little bit. Right. And he did nothing. No.
And you know what?
And
But the
didn't capitalize
backstory
on
of that is they wanted him to do a character that was like a Bill Cosby character, and all that stuff was he's like, I'm not doing that.
I mean, that's fine.
There's
And
a little
th-
backstory to it.
That's fine, but he still could have done something to say, "Hey, I got the main stage, guys. Look," because he was supposed to host the Oscars at one point. Turned that
Brett
down.
Ratner was going to direct the Oscars. Yeah,
he was going to do stand-up comedy again. That could have been a big thing, but he just doesn't
I'll
have
say
it right
this,
now.
As much as I'm saying no, I don't think he will be. I will also be the first guy in line, though. If they announce, like, we are right beside a comedy club here called. What's the comedy club here?
Flappers.
Flappers. The Flappers Comedy Club here in Burbank.
Way to give our location away, John.
Well, I've always said right beside the Burbank 16. But if they announce tomorrow, if we got off set right now and we saw Eddie Murphy is going to come and do some stand-up at Flappers,
Oh, man.
first one in
course.
line, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I'll be hoping, please be funny again.
No,
please.
I think he's got it in him. I'm rooting for him.
All right,
too.
let's take a bunch more.
Peter tweets, do you believe that watching or reading a film review before seeing the movie is harmful? Does it create a predetermined notion?
I don't think so if you read a bunch of them. Like, I always encourage people, don't just read one film critic. Read about 8 and read different ones with different opinions. Like, that Schnepp was alluding to this earlier before. One of the biggest mistakes I think film fans can make is they only go to and listen to film critics or whatever that they always agree with. That's not, you're missing out on a big part of what it means to be a film fan. I really love going to and listening to and reading film critics and film pundits who have different opinions from me because sometimes it changes my mind and sometimes it sharpens my own opinion and makes me realize more about why I hold the position that I do. But I would say if you just read one critic, it can. But if you read a bunch of them, it evens it out a little bit more. So generally speaking, I would say no, it doesn't hurt as long as you're not reading people that give too much away.
Yeah, I think that was what I was going to say. Is that sometimes it depends on the movie too. There's some if you're trying to save yourself from, you're going to see the movie anyway. Like again with Force Awakens, and that comes out, and you'd want to just go in not know anything at all, even if it's not a spoiler review or anything too. You should just go see it and check out the reviews later and then compare it to your own opinion. But if there's other movies that maybe you were curious about and you didn't know, I think sometimes it helps to go and see what maybe there's a critic or someone that you do value their opinion or have the same opinion of, and then like John said, go on to another person that you say, okay, well, what are the negatives that this person happens to be saying about it? But there is, I think, a danger sometimes of reading too much because you can start piecing together. Like sometimes I've read some, and it's even in my head. I remember reading something and going and looking for it in the movie. And I'm like, no, I don't. I would want to judge that on my own. So sometimes it can affect your opinion.
Yeah, I think reading reviews of films, like let's use Spectre as a great example. Just this morning, I was talking about it with Dennis. Driving up here, we were like, hey, what did you hear about Spectre? I know that you said it was okay. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't a Skyfall. So it's an enjoyable Bond film. I was perusing a couple of different sites. I like Drew McQueenie's, a lot of his reviews. I saw his top line. I was like, I'll read it after I see the movie. Like there's certain people, like when I was younger, I would read Roger Ebert, and he was like an incredibly intelligent film reviewer, and he's a big giant cineast. He's a big fan of films. He would see as many films as he possibly could, so you'd always get like a great perspective from him. But once again, it's just a perspective. I would say like 9 times out of 10 I would love a film that he hated, or vice versa. We've always it's like you have to see the film for yourself because you're an individual, and like you say, it's subjective. So I think I'm still looking forward to seeing Spectre, but now have my like, it's going to be the best world, it's going to be the best Bond in the world, now that's lowered.
Yeah,
so hopefully my expectations expectations are now just where I'll be like, wow, it's better than I expected. So that's a good thing about film reviews and critics. You get a general idea of to what you're going to see.
Hey, a bunch of people in the live chat board actually have been asking, I meant to mention this a little bit earlier, is why was there no Collider Heroes yesterday? The Collider's Hero, we had to cancel Collider Heroes yesterday because Schnepp was unavailable. Something came up last minute, and we just decided we're going to shoot it today. So Collider Heroes, which is always up on Tuesdays, this week only will actually go up today. So that's when Collider Heroes is actually coming. All right, let's rapid fire just a few more.
Josh wants to know if you guys have any thoughts on the Peanuts movie.
I haven't seen it, but I think the marketing's been great. It's been perfect. It's blended. It feels modern, yet have all the classic feel to it. So I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I saw it last night.
Really? You did see it last night?
Tell us.
And I loved it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sinead,
right.
Now you can go see it.
All right, what's next?
Anthony tweets, will you guys have another celebration this coming winter?
Another celebration?
100 million was last winter.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just crossed. We started off. Like Drake, we started at the bottom. Now we're here. We started off down again because we moved over to Collider. We just crossed 100 million again a little while ago. So no, probably not. I think the next big party we'll have, other than a special event like maybe Oscars or something, I think the next big party we'll have is probably like 200 million view party.
I think you should have a crew Christmas party.
I think we will probably.
You might be right.
Wendy was bringing that up the other day as well. I think we will have a crew Christmas party in a couple of weeks. Yes. All right. What's next?
Alexander tweets, what are your gut thoughts on the Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence film Passengers?
It was supposed to originally be like Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, I think, originally.
Wow.
Yeah. It's gone through some revision. I'm curious. I'm interested. It sounds interesting. Not something that's grabbed me by the throat. Waking up out of hypersleep and all that kind of stuff. I like the performers in it. It'll be interesting to see Chris Pratt act alongside somebody like Jennifer Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I'm curious.
I'm curious also because I like both of them, and it's also a test for the studio to where we don't normally get anymore the way we used to people in the theater for movie stars. This is a movie star lore. This is like two big movie stars with a cool premise, but a lot of times now you're getting people into the theater because of just the premise and stuff too. I think this is going to be like Chris Pratt, the guy from Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Katniss in this new train movie. It's like, and that's what they're going to be marking on. And I think I'm curious how that works.
Yeah, I also wonder, like, are they the only two people who are going to be in the film, or does someone else get woken up?
Right.
Or like, what's the angle? Because it's like we don't know what the actual angle is until we see the trailer. Is it really just going to be an exploration of them having a relationship on this like train to nowhere, like out in outer space? I like the idea of obviously Gravity. You mentioned Robert Downey Jr. or Charlize Theron was originally going to be in that with Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And then, so that a lot of people like and then it got swapped out. But that was just, I think it was like 2 people or 3 people minus the person who got aced out really early. Right. If you saw Gravity, that's like a spectacle type of film. I wonder if they're going to lean on that a little bit for this kind of, is it going to have a bigger spectacle, or is it a smaller film but just in outer space?
All right, what's next?
Aaron tweets, what did you guys think you'd be doing today 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I thought I'd still be working in law, probably.
I was working at Silver Pictures at the time, and I was trying to get movies made. So I was like, I'm going to be a big producer.
I was editing a rap movie and designing Death Clock. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I was having a lot of fun. So
yeah, I was like 2 years into doing the movie blog 10 years ago. So maybe I was just starting to have dreams of doing it as a full-time job.
That was the thing, is I had just started Silver, and I was still doing stand-up full-time then as well, too. So it was like I would work all day at Silver, and then I would do stand-up. So it was one of the two. I'd either think that I would get the big gig doing stand-up, or it'd be get the big gig at the movies.
What did Sinead think she was going to be doing 10 years ago?
Well, considering that I was in the 8th grade.
Go ahead, rub it in that you're a baby.
I was 13. I'm 23. I'm about to be 24, you guys.
35 with 4 kids. Come on.
But when I was 13, I wanted to do scripted, and no one could convince me otherwise. I thought I was going to be doing scripted for my whole life.
Oh, you wanted to do scripted? I thought she said she
show,
wanted
right?
to be conscripted.
Oh, weird.
I'm like, really? That's an odd thing for a 13-year-old.
Scripted TV and movies.
Very cool.
Movies.
All right, let's take 3 more.
Okay. Daniel wants to know, do you guys think that Caddyshack is overrated?
No. I know Schnepp's going to say yes, but no.
No.
I saw it again recently, and it didn't hold those nuggets of humor that I wanted it to, but I still think it's a great film.
It's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah, but I thought you loved The New Vacation. Just kidding.
Oh, you stop
Just
it.
kidding.
Stop it.
Bazinga Guy tweets, are there any thoughts on theater chains refusing to show the new Paranormal movie because it went to VOD early?
First, I've been getting people tweeting me stuff like this. This is not new. The long time, all theater chains have had a rule. If you're going to be stupid and do VOD on the same day that you want to put it in the theaters, then we're not going to show your movies. The movie theater chains, remember, I do not work for a movie theater chain anymore. I don't give a shit. So movie theater chains have to go, we want to do what's best for us. If you're going to try to screw us by putting them out on VOD, why should we take up our theater space and put your movie in where no one's going to come to it because they can just sit at home watch it on VOD. Right. There's no reason why movie theaters should be expected to allow themselves to be shot in the foot. It's a stupid thing, and I totally stand behind movie theaters' rule for themselves to protect themselves and their interests. That no, if you want to be stupid and do VOD, then you don't get to play in our theaters. It's as simple as that.
I personally think that the wait time should be shortened. I think that right now the current wait time is I think it's 3 months.
It's 3 months. I think it should be longer.
Really?
But some people think it should be shorter.
I'll argue it should be shorter simply because of the way movies come in and out of the theater so quickly. Like if they're not hitting it big style, like even a giant blockbuster is in the theater for 8 weeks maybe max. That third month is hey, make it 2 months instead. So then VOD people are like, hey, if you want to see the film, you're gonna see it in the theater. Then otherwise you can wait 2 months. So
the problem you get with that is, and this is why I lean on the other side personally, but it's just that the shorter that window, remember, studios make the monster majority of their money off their theatrical runs. That's where studios make their big money. Right. And the shorter you make that window, the more you give people reason to say, oh, I can just wait for 7 weeks now for it to come out on VOD, or I can just wait for 9 weeks. I even think it used to be longer than 12. Right. It's been eroded down to 12, and I think they're getting to I think they're almost at the bare minimum they can, because I think anymore, and you're going to start to hurt the theatrical business, which is going to hurt the studios and going to hurt the theatrical business, and I just think it would be bad. I mean, great for average home fans, but if you're going to kill the movie industry while doing it, it's not really.
Or maybe just make big movies 3 months. Smaller films, 2 months.
What about this? I think maybe what they should do is maybe make a rule instead of a window between when the movie opens, make the window from when a movie ends its theatrical run. So if you say 2 months and a movie only lasts in theater 3 weeks or 2 weeks, great. And if a movie lasts in theaters, people keep going to see it for 9 weeks in a row, great. And then make them, so if they could calculate a way to make the window, not from the start date of the movie, but from its theatrical exit date, you might be able to shorten that up and make it more fair for everybody.
The only problem with that, the hint that it's you have to schedule all that with all the people who pre-buy everything.
Point.
So
Good
everything
point.
is always 6 to 8, months to a year in advance. They're selling it to these people who have this catalog and these people who have this catalog. So all those deals are already in play before the trailers even released. That would be a big hurdle. So it is
that's a hurdle.
But I think that's a very smart way to approach. I think the smaller business model, like we were talking about earlier, where you only have your theater in you only have your movie in 5 theaters. That's only going to play for possibly 2 to 3 weeks, but give it to the theaters first. Let them try to help you make that money. Because remember, movie theaters, if it's in the theater, it's actually a pre-commercial for the eventual life that it's going to live online. So,
what do you think, Christian?
I just want everyone to get along.
All right, 2 more questions.
Tim tweets, has there been any more news on the Incredibles 2 movie?
I keep hearing Bird.
Yeah.
I keep hearing Bird drop a few nuggets here and there. Basically, it's still coming together. I don't think they're involved in full out production on it yet, but he's still putting it all together.
No, but he's going to put everything he's got into it
yes,
because
he
after
is.
Tomorrowland, he needs it.
Yeah, he needs a big hit.
We were just talking about the other day with Ridley Scott, as where he's back on track now, but he was falling down that slope. Now look, Brad Bird had one miss with
just
Tomorrowland.
Just one.
Yeah. He had one miss, but it was a miss. And so right now we're not going, oh, he's terrible. We're going, come on, man, get back. And by getting back with Incredibles 2, that's a way to do it. It's smart. It's very smart. It's good. And I think that was in planning even before Tomorrowland did bad. But now that it has done bad, I'm very excited for Incredibles 2. It's the one sequel that I think should have come out before Cars 2
or Planes.
Or Planes or Dory or any of that stuff. I think Incredibles 2 was the one that was calling for a sequel, so I'm excited.
Well, aren't we still? We're 2 years out. It's 2017, isn't that right?
Yeah.
still feels like forever. But you know, the way Pixar works, they're in story right now. When I say story now, I'm not talking about the script, how they call it in Pixar land. When they're in story, that means there's a whole bunch of storyboard animators, and they're all working on scenes, and they break everybody up into teams, and like you're assigned the same, and you and me, all three of us will do our version of what that scene should be story wise, and then the whole crew comes together and we all watch our interpretations, and then we pick the best parts of that. So they have a great way of making their films, and I love the way they have a team mentality. It's a fantastic way to approach something, and so you bet your bottom dollar they've got like animatics and all these different things going on for The Incredibles, but they're gonna workshop it for another year before they even get to that. So,
all right, last question of the day.
T-Dog tweets, why is Suicide Squad promoting so early? I know everybody's looking forward to it, but isn't it still like 9 months away?
It is a ways away. You know, they dropped a trailer at Comic-Con. They've put out some pictures in magazines. To me, it's been a lot of, hey, folks, just it's more like announcements to me than anything else. And I don't think they've been doing too much. It's not like I've been seeing TV ads running for it and billboards around Hollywood yet. So I don't know. While they could have certainly waited a while longer, I don't think they've been going overboard.
I don't think they should have waited. I think they're doing it perfectly because you have to keep this movie in people's consciousness because of all the other stuff that's coming out, whether the Marvel movies and DC and Batman v Superman. This is
Star Wars.
This is not a known property besides like the hardcore fans. Like Joker obviously is, but there's a new Joker. You have to get people used to that. There's a lot of things that you have to do before this movie comes out in July. Or that's when it comes out, right?
Yeah.
July. So you're going to have to take that time to do it. So just keep putting those nuggets. Like you said, you're not getting beaten down with it. No. It's just like, hey, remember us? We're going to be around. This is going to happen. I don't know how long that Comic-Con trailer when it wasn't supposed to get dropped when it did because it got leaked.
Yeah. So
I think they're doing it right.
Yeah, I agree. And they probably wouldn't have put that Comic-Con trailer out if it didn't get leaked for at least 3 or 4 months later. But that they did actually was beneficial, probably more so than they thought, because what that Comic-Con trailer did was get everyone introduced to all these like characters that no one knows who they are unless they're big fans of like Batman or, you know, I'm talking about the comic book where you have Killer Croc or the animated series. They introduced all these characters like Harley Quinn and Deadshot. Now they're just part of our terminology. We know who they are. And they introduced the new Joker, and it took a little bit of time for people to get used to that new Joker, but just last week we were all at Kamikaze. I pretty much saw a dominant version of that Joker, more so than the Heath Ledger Joker. There was like 30 people dressed up, I'm not kidding, like as that Joker, with the deranged and all the tattoos and stuff. So I think just opening the floodgates of a new interpretation that's different and people are accepting it and getting excited about it, but they haven't given us anything. They've literally like 3 lines and a scene, you know? So I think it's perfect.
All right, folks. Well, that will do it for us for this installment of this very special Collider movie talk, where we just basically, for most shows, just took all your Twitter questions. Do me a favor. Let us know in the comments section below, what did you think of this format? Should we do this every once in a while? Did you think it was a waste of one? Let us know what you guys think. And don't forget, guys, lots of great films playing out at our friends over at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater showtime and, of course, your movie ticket information. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my left, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You can find me this weekend and watching Snoopy. I can't even believe it's coming out in like 2 days. It's fantastic. I'm excited. I'm so happy that you liked it. It made me like, oh, I forgot it was coming out because all this James Bond stuff. So online, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnepp. And check out my film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, by going to www.tdoslwh.com. Get a digital download. Support independent film. Thanks.
Of course, sitting over here on my right, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you?
Hey, remember when I told you Jedi Council was on today? I lied. It's going to be on tomorrow. Heroes is going on today. Heroes will be on. I thought it was going to be on yesterday, so I apologize to you guys. But look forward to an episode of Jedi Council tomorrow as scheduled. It's going to be myself, John Campia, and David Griffin. You can follow me at Christian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram.
And sitting at the end of the table, the lovely Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find you?
First of all, thanks so much for tweeting and all your questions and complimenting me as much as you all did. I really appreciate it. I feel really good about myself now. Also, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Sinead DeFries and at thatsoshinead.com.
And, of course, you can follow me, and you should be following me on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. That'll do it for us for Collider Video, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.